Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I am the Irish Kaiser, and today we're playing a different game. A very different game from anything we've played before on this channel. We are playing the new hit medieval, melee, and ranged combat game known as Morhau. I ran into this game on YouTube, just kind of messing around, seeing what I could find, looking for new games to play. And I encountered a video ad for this game. And I figured, since I'd wanted to play Chivalry when it came out years ago, but I didn't have a computer with the necessary specs, I would give this a shot. And from what I understand, this is a billion times what Chivalry was. And, well, it's just something to behold. So, today, as a matter of fact, I have shaved my beard, and I now have a mustache. So, in honor of that, I will be changing my primary character to a mustache rather than a beard. So, we're just going to do frontline. I just use the worldwide server select for matchmaking. I use matchmaking just because official servers are really the only way you can earn gold, which is how you buy weapons. And might I say, in a very rare turn of events, especially these days, this game is entirely devoid of microtransactions, which is fantastic. And it's a wonderful game. It runs quite well on my computer, which is relatively middle of the road. It's only about, I believe it's $850 or $800 total worth of hardware, including the case, which I spent too much money on, and I have both an SSD and a hard disk drive. It's not a super powerful rig. I could pull up my stats. I'm not entirely sure what I have. I have a Ryzen, I believe it's a 1500X, I think it is, and a GTX 1060 6GB graphics card with 16 gigs of RAM. And, well, I'm going to do my favorite thing. This is just kind of a general introduction to the game. I enjoy archery. I always, especially when there's a chance for me to kind of avoid direct confrontation, it's usually a good thing. Ooh. Apparently I cannot hit a shot today. Oh. I have high pain. Apparently the circle we're playing is a little... There we go. The Royal Canadian. As you can see, I'm not playing under my normal Steam account name of Irish Kaiser, simply because I don't know who's aware of who I am. I'm not a very popular YouTuber, but I'd rather not have to deal with anybody. Try to hit that archer back there. He's using the, I believe it's the recurve bow, which is a faster but much lower damage weapon than the weapon I am currently using, which is the longbow. My personal favorite weapon in this entire game. I am home now from university. I am in my own bedroom right now. My whole family is around. That's why I haven't been uploading lately, actually. I've been working a full-time job, 40 hours a week, as is standard over here in the good old US of A. But nearly. We're not having a very good game. I haven't played this in... Ooh, we shoot our teammate in the back of the head. We get that guy. It's kind of a very temperamental thing being an archer. Either you can run in front of your teammates and die due to your disadvantage in melee combat, as the longbow that I'm using is one of the two most expensive weapons in the game at 11 points. This game is based... it does have a loadout kind of interface, but it is based on a point system. So it's very simple to understand. There's different tiers of armor that would give you damage reduction depending on what body part you have. You can customize your look as much as you want. It's truly a very in-depth. There's a ton of weapons. I'm not entirely sure how many, but there's as many as you really need. Nothing wasted. But oh god, we are losing quite handedly here. Try to hit this horse rider. Ooh, and we get nailed by the catapult for our first death. With only 2 kills. Oh my, and we're over 100 ping. I'll likely have to leave following this game. Actually, I think I'll cut now. Yeah, I'll cut now. I'll bring y'all back when I find a server we can really kind of do our best on. We've got some screen tearing, just not a good time. So I'll see you all in the next one. All right, folks, welcome. You played a first game. It wasn't all that exciting. We were on a very, very foreign server, so we were kind of unable to play due to the latency. But I'm just going to be playing my favorite custom class, my longbowman. Very simple, very relaxing kind of gameplay. I prefer this over the melee combat because the melee combat, while it's not impossible, is still quite difficult. And yes. Also, I have recently taken up archery. And I apologize if my commentary isn't very involved right now. I am very, very fixated, as we are getting, now that we have corrected our latency issue, we are getting a large number of kills, or much quicker kills. Now that our accuracy is on point, we are at 5 currently. Oh, and we are out of ammunition. This class is, there are perks in this game. And I have 4 points of my character class worth of of abilities in my perks. These allow me to move faster while I've drawn my bow. Well, unfortunately, this was a quick one. 5-0. We have an infinite KD. As we hit that, as our teammate attacks us in his displeasure with such a quick loss. But we will remain on the server. Balanced games are kind of a rarity in this, which is a problem with the matchmaking, as there is really no ranking system, no skill ranking system in this game. There's no like competitive mode of any sort. But that kind of is we'll vote for camp here. It seems everybody wants to play camp. But since there is no kind of skill tier system available, we are kind of left to balance the games ourselves. And we'll go on red again. This is my character, the Ranger. Very standard. No armor whatsoever. Not even a hat. We've got our short sword. I'll just run through the class real quick. We'll spawn in here. I'll edit it in the armor. We have 2 perks. Huntsman, which causes people who are also using ranged weapons or carrying a quiver, which means they spawn with a bow or crossbow. You deal twice as much damage. Basically, you get an insta-kill against anybody who is also wielding a ranged weapon, which is fantastic for winning sniper duels, as the best counter to a decent archer is another archer on your team. Ranger is more of a comfort kind of thing. It just allows you to move quicker while you're aiming and while you have the bow drawn, etc. Now, our primary weapon is just the standard good old longbow. I have all the skin. I have the square skin for it. I like the default skin just because it's more historically accurate. And I can afford the divided skin, as I do have enough coin right now. I spent a lot of money customizing my short sword, as it's one of the few one-point weapons that are any good in this game. But enough of my rambling. That's just my class. I know most people are much more interested in the melee combat, and that's entirely understandable, but when I play any kind of large-scale game, this game mode is called Frontlines, which is basically, if any of you have ever played Battlefield, it's basically that, except in medieval times. So it's quite interesting, and it does, at least in my humble opinion, portray. Oh, as we get this gentleman right in the elbow, pick our arrow back up. That is a nice feature that you can pick up spent ammunition. Excuse me, sir. I am not an enemy. Team killing is kind of a big thing, as there is a perk that actually makes you do less damage to teammates called the friendly perk, but very few people take it, as it is only 1 point, but it is a point that you could be putting towards a secondary weapon or something of that nature. We have an enemy archer up there. You can't see me hit. I can see. Ooh, he just goes right there. Ooh, we're missing every single shot we take. There we go. So we get one of the archers. But the projectile velocity in this game isn't all that high. There's a lot of arc. The crossbow is probably the best in terms of just ease of using the projectile, but its fire rate is so slow, and you have to stand still to reload it. It's just such a pain, and it's less points than the longbow, but you get less ammunition, which is also a very big downside, because in order to get ammunition, teammates can't drop ammunition or anything like that. You have to go to these specified resupply points all across the map in order to get more arrows or fire bombs or whatever your poison may be. Ooh, as we get a nice little headshot. High up the headshot there. But I have most of my substantial number of hours in this game as an archer, just because it's my preferred method. I mean, it's impossible to die if they can't hit you. That's the way I like to look at it. And since dying is something that frustrates me in all games, as we get killed by our own bombardment, as dying is something I try to avoid at all costs, I tend to gravitate towards longer range classes, or stealth classes in general, or just classes that can take a ton of damage. Oh, seems we have changed our bow skin? Interesting. I don't remember changing it to the square. Oh, as we're getting overrun here. He doesn't want anything to do with that. The melee system is relatively intuitive. It's not difficult to understand, but it's extremely complicated to master, as there are so many combinations and mind games. It's all about, if you want to block an attack, you have to understand when your enemy's actually going to attack, and it's a mess. It's a beautiful mess, I have to say, as it's all, it doesn't have any of the issues that were part of Chivalry when that was around. Mainly those being dead angle attacks that cannot be blocked. Oop, as we die in one hit. That's the one downside of never not wearing any armor at all. A lot of weapons in this game are capable of just lopping off your head in one go, which is, I mean, realistic of course, but it's very frustrating to die in one hit, but it is kind of a choice. There's only one weapon that can one-hit you if you have full heavy armor, that being the Maul, which is one of the hardest weapons in the game to use. Against good players, at least. This guy, I think he is actually using the maul. So we're gonna move away from him because he can just break us in half. The maul is kind of like a sledgehammer. It's a very short-range melee weapon. Some of the melee weapons, the pole arms especially, being the halberd, the spear, the pole axe, the bill hook, those have a lot of reach. And in melee combat, they are extremely, extremely good just for kind of going around your opponents and hiding them, keeping them from being able to even be in range of you to hit you. So it is. Oops, so we run out of arrows again. It is a very good thing to have, and it makes it a lot easier to dodge attacks rather than having to parry or chamber. Chambering is when you mirror an enemy's attack the moment before it hits you with your own attack, which is one of the harder mechanics in the game in its basic form. And it's insane. It can be comboed into a billion different things, and you can run things off of it. It's a very, very useful thing to start learning early. I only recently learned it by playing against the AI in the single-player mode, which is, and it's not bad. It's not bad, but I mean, it is AI in such a kind of, I don't know, it's a mental, a lot of the melee combat in this is mental, wherein you can win a fight simply by outsmarting your opponent. You don't necessarily have to have a better weapon. Actually, you really don't have to have a better weapon at all. It all comes down to skill, almost entirely, which is one of the fantastic facets of this game, in my opinion. The same thing with aiming. Arrows can be blocked with a well-timed parry or a well-timed just kind of a block with your melee weapon. They can be blocked by shields, and they don't do very much damage against armored targets. So, while they are powerful, as they have long range, they're not so ridiculously powerful that they can't be beaten by a competent player. In a 1v1, archery is not all that useful, but in a team fight, having a few decent archers on your team is always a good thing, and having a few decent archers on the other team is always aggravating, as they can prevent advances, they can kind of keep your team back, they can finish off kills. They're very annoying, I think is the right word. You gotta stay with your team, though. You have almost no chance of doing anything in melee combat beyond a 1v1, and because you are playing in a team game mode, such as Frontlines, 1v1s are incredibly rare. As we get the other archer. As an archer, especially with the Huntsman perk, you should always prioritize enemy archers, always, as you can one-shot them to the chest or the head, and they are usually something that your team will have a more difficult time dealing with, as long as their team isn't completely folding like paper. So we'll run back here really quickly. Actually, I could have gone to a different resupply cabinet. I'm sorry if this isn't the most exciting gameplay. This is just kind of my introduction to this game on my channel. I would highly, highly recommend this game. It's not that expensive. I got it on the launch day release sale for, I believe, $25. I'm not entirely sure how much it is now. I think it's maybe $30, but it is definitely worth your money, without a shadow of a doubt. Let's get this guy. Ooh, we gotta. He's gonna resupply. We'll wait for him to come back. Take a pot shot at these guys who are just spawning. Firing into crowds is a good way to get free damage points. But eventually, sometimes you do have to aim your shots. Ooh, as I hit my teammate there. As you can see, team damage is definitely a thing. As we get our enemy archer finally. Seems to be repositioned, which was smart, but he is also skylining, so he's very easy to spot when he's kind of sitting up on that ridge with nothing but the white clouds in the background. He stands out. His silhouette is very easy to pick out. in such a situation. I don't recommend doing that. High ground is good. Excuse me, that voice crack, my god. High ground is definitely useful. Excuse me. Oh god. Retreat into your team. Always retreat. There is a chase mechanic in this game, wherein if an enemy player is chasing you and they have their reticle pointed at you or at your back while they're chasing you, they will run faster than you, even if you have no armor and they have the heaviest armor in the game, which I find is a little ridiculous, just because I put all my points I put all my points into my weapons and perks, and I kind of bank on my mobility to survive in a fight, but my mobility is completely nullified if I try to do anything other than fight. So I mean, it's definitely good from keeping people with low armor and pole arms or long-range weapons from just running around and preventing enemies from being able to touch them whatsoever. But if someone's running away and they're using even the recurve bow, which is the fastest firing ranged weapon in the game, they still have to slow down, aim, and even if you have this this perk that I have, you will still find it extremely difficult to be able to continue on your... Oh, as we get a nice headshot there. This archer is just perfect bait. Ooh! Oh, we were finally executed by... Oh, that is an enemy. I'm on red team. I forget occasionally. You kind of just get into the swing of things. We're here at 10-3 with 10 assists. Not bad. Not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. We are winning, which is a big contributing factor to how well I'm doing. As it seems, the enemy team is really kind of being held up by my team, so I don't have to worry about repositioning so much. Ooh. Here nearly gets our, knocks our noggin off. Oh, and we get him. Ow. Oh god, teammate. Oh my god. I hope that was worth your kill points. You nearly got me. Down to 10 health. That's another bad thing about not having armor. Running into team fights is even more ridiculously dangerous than it is without. No, with armor, rather. We'll knock another arrow and get back to business. Ooh. This guy went out. I hit him in the legs, so I didn't get the bonus from Huntsman. We hit him again. That poor sap he's playing as one of the default classes, so he's obviously not that experienced. I do feel bad picking on him, but I can't take any chances, as that class also has the Huntsman perk, and he can drop me in one hit. So, we can't really just let him be. We can't afford to take any chances if we want to hit that guy. There's a lot of hate for archers in this game, which is understandable, but just because they're so aggravating to deal with. And because, I mean, I've been killed by archers many times when I'm not playing an archer. Ooh, as we lose the melee fight. I was trying to chamber that stab, but unfortunately I wasn't quick enough on the draw. So we do lose that melee fight. But it is much more difficult for us to get enough hits in, as the short sword is basically just an oversized an oversized dagger. It does a little bit more damage than the dagger. It's a little bit slower, and it has a little bit more reach, which I prefer. I'm not usually melee fighting too often, and the dagger is a great kind of riposte tool. This guy wants to come in and fight us. Ooh. Ooh, and we get the kill. Beautiful. Those, when you see the sparks flying off my weapon when he was trying to poke me with them, those are chambers. And we got a free horse. Oh, don't kill the horse. Horses are extremely, extremely powerful. Ooh, as we get killed by a horse rider. There he goes, riding off into the sunset. Horses are very, very powerful assets in this game. They allow you to... You can kill an entire team in one run if they're all bunched up correctly. It's very, very... I am very bad at riding horses. I've tried, and I do a very poor job of it. But I do respect the power of horses. Oh god, as we get... It's always the archers. They see an archer and they immediately assume that I don't know how to melee fight. I do. I'm at a disadvantage, but I'm still competent enough to keep you off of me in order for my team to help me not die. Engineers were recently buffed, so now their abilities are a little more useful. They used to be kind of difficult to use. Oh, so we get a nice long-range headshot. Oh, and we get him... We're doing quite... So we get, as you can see, the chase mechanic engaged. When you're chasing someone when you have light armor, you go even faster. And this is the ideal environment for melee fighting, is when you have 4 of your teammates around your enemy, and you can just stab or spam as much as you want without much concern. It's as all melee attacks interrupt enemy attacks, so long as you can attack before they do, it'll be nearly impossible for you to lose any melee fight. That's why the fast weapons are so powerful. The short sword is one of the faster weapons, which is another thing I like about it. But it does have a lot of disadvantages in terms of reach, which is another extremely, extremely important mechanic. Reach being just how far you can swing your weapon. You can throw it by pressing R. And of course I gotta pick that up. I don't like picking up other people's weapons off of dead bodies, just because I like to have my practice and be more familiar with the weapon that I spawn with, as I'll always have that with me. And there's not really anything I can do to lose it, beyond throwing it away intentionally. So I don't have much practice throwing my weapon per se, as I do have a bow, which is kind of designed to do that. But I do try to hold on to my weapon and use my given weapon almost exclusively. There are times I'll like pick up a shield or something of that sort, just because I feel it necessary, but it's usually not the case that I can't get away with simply using my my default spawn weapon. So there you go. We have a victory, 18-5 with 19 assists. Not terrible. We're level 26. We got 470 gold for that. And now that we've kind of gone through a little bit of the basic gameplay, at least in terms of ranged combat, and a little taste of melee, which is not my forte, we'll leave the server, and I'll just take you through the armory. So, what class should we go to? I know a lot of these have a lot of strange names. Some of them are jokes, but let's modify this. I don't really like the recurve bow. It does so little damage. I find it almost useless. So we're gonna edit this class up a little bit. This is the crossbow. It's a beautiful thing, but it'll never compare to this. A stick with some string. So we're just going to well, I'd say we're just going to empty out all the weapons and all the armor. So just so we have nothing, and we'll get rid of the perks. So here we are, a basic half-naked man with nice abs. We're just gonna fix the mustache, as I have shaved. I'm reasonably sure I've said this, but I have shaved, and now I do have a mustache rather than a glorious beard. So we'll be sticking with a mustache. So, all right. So perks, we're gonna do weapons is usually the best way to start out. What kind of weapon do you want? So I'm thinking we make a nice beginner, a beginner ranged class, as ranged is kind of what I've been showcasing. We'll start with the crossbow. You do not have this by default when you join the game. When you in the main menu, when you do the tutorial, you will get 2,500 gold, which you can use to purchase different weapons. I would you have to be I believe it's level 5 to purchase the crossbow. Leveling up now that when the game first launched, there was a glitch where you couldn't where your XP and gold wouldn't save, so that was frustrating. But with that being fixed, it's relatively quick to get up to level 5 or 6 or 7. Just I'm up to level 26, but I've been playing for a while. I played with the glitch, so I lost a lot of my hours were sunk into not earning anything. But I would recommend the crossbow, as it has the fastest and flattest flying projectiles, which makes it a lot easier to hit targets. I have quite a bit of custom purchased armor, but we're gonna go with level 2 armor, being the Brigadine. You by default have the chainmail, which is of course more than sufficient. We're going to go with sleeve cloth, as we are an archer. We don't really need heavy plate armor. We'll stick with workers' gloves, which are basically just, I don't know, fingerless mittens. But we'll stick with that. And for there are only three categories of armor that actually affect how much damage your character will take. So we're going to go with the level 1 Rider's Hosen, and I have a long skirt just to cover it up. That's all. This, and this are entirely fashion, including our pointy leather shoes. But we're gonna put on our nice tall boots. So, yeah. I apologize if I'm definitely getting sidetracked here. I apologize, but colors don't matter unless you're playing in a free-for-all game mode. Then your character will assume these colors. But if you're playing in Frontlines or any of the team-based game modes, you will either be colored red or blue, depending on which team you are. So we have level 2 armor on our chest. Chest is the largest hitbox. It's the most commonly hit. So we'll go with level 2 there. We'll have level 1 on the legs. And for the head, we will also go with level 1 armor, being a nice fancy peasant hat. And we have a fur coif around our neck and a nice scarf to kind of keep the rain off our shoulders. Nice and simple. So back to actually, we're going to go to perks first. Now, I would not recommend getting Ranger with the crossbow, as your reloading animation will still make you completely immobile. So it's kind of a waste, in my opinion. If you feel it's necessary, go right ahead. It's a free world. Do what you want. But I would recommend getting Huntsman, just so you can kind of one-shot enemies, and it just makes your life a little bit easier. So we're gonna go down here. I have most of the weapons unlocked. All the weapons I feel are necessary to have. And unfortunately, there aren't really a lot of 3-point weapons that are really all that good. So we're going to give ourselves an axe, which is a fantastic weapon. That's not the skin we have. We have the nice default skin. I would like to get the bearded head, but it is a lot of money for a weapon I don't use very often. But the axe is, I believe it's the cheapest weapon you can get that can lop off the heads of enemies in one swing. This is a one-shot kill weapon if you hit them in the neck or the head, and they have low armor, of course. If it has, they have high armor. There's only one weapon in the game that can headshot people with high armor, so don't even bother trying for that. Just go for your swipes. This does not do very well on thrust attacks. Oh, excuse me, thrust attacks. It does much better on slashes and chops, rather, I suppose. So I would recommend going for those rather than anything else. So we have all of this. We'll make ourselves a little bit skinnier. A little bit harder to hit, you know? But we have all this. Now, the 1 point slots are limited. I mean, bandages aren't all that useful in this game mode. I might be more inclined to take a perk of some sort. Maybe friendly. Yeah, we'll put friendly on. All the perks are unlocked by default, by the way. All of them are very simple. Brawler, increased fist damage. Peasant is kind of a joke. It gives you a different weapon loadout list, which is automatically unlocked, and it restricts your armor and all sorts of things. Basically, it turns you into a peasant. Friendly, we've went over. It just reduces damage you take from teammates and deal to teammates, which is quite useful on a range class such as this. Wrecker just increases your melee damage against structures. Second wind, when you hit someone with a melee attack, you gain 3 extra stamina. Flesh wound, when you are killed, as long as it's not a decapitation, you don't die immediately, but you have 5 seconds to 5 seconds to continue your fight. Your limbs can come on. If any of you are familiar with the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, this is basically the Black Knight. That's what this is based off. Its comedic value is immeasurable, and it is also useful for winning fights posthumously, killing someone right before your timer runs out and you die. You can be killed if you're hit again with any amount of damage during those 5 seconds, but if it's a 1 versus 1, then you usually have a good chance of at least getting another hit in before you go down. Ranger, again, allows you to move quicker while you're aiming. Acrobat just reduces your jump stamina cost. Fireproof reduces fire damage taken by 80%. There's only one weapon in the game that deals fire damage, that being the firebomb. And I believe on the camp map, the bombardment that's AI controlled, that just happens every so often, it also deals our area of effect fire damage, but I am not sure. I have not tested that. Okay, back onto this. Rat, just crouch movement speed is increased by 10%, and your footstep volume is reduced by 75%. Smith, repair effectiveness increased by 50%. This allows you to repair mounted weapons such as the ballista or the mounted crossbow, which you can build as engineer. This is a must-have if you are playing engineer, as it will make your there are 2 weapons in the game that can heal or build or construct buildings, those being the wooden mallet and the blacksmith hammer. And yeah, this just makes them even more effective at what they do. Bloodlust is by far the best perk in the game if you're a melee character, especially with a heavy weapon. Whenever you get a kill, your health is instantly filled to 100%, which is absurd, to say the least. It's yeah, it's very good. It's always been good since the game came out, and I don't think they should change it, as 5 points is a supremely hefty investment in order to just for a perk. The only thing more is peasant, and that's because it's a joke. It's a joke perk. I mean, I've seen people going completely berserk with the kind like pitchforks and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's more of a joke than anything else. Scavenger, when you kill an enemy, they drop everything. I don't believe this includes armor. I think it's just weapons. Fury, when you get a kill, the stamina you regain is increased by 66%. Huntsman, as we've said, allows you to deal more damage with ranged weapons against the torso or head of any enemy who spawned with a crossbow, longbow, or recurve. which is great for counter sniping. Cat just reduces fall damage by 50%. Tenacious is the best perk in terms of value for a melee combat character, as it's only a single point, and it increases your passive health regeneration by 60%, 66% by 2/3. So in order to regenerate health passively, you have to be out of combat, which is to say you haven't taken damage, you haven't attacked, blocked, or sprinted. You basically haven't done anything but walked, crouched, and looked around for a few seconds, and this just makes it so once that is activated, it heals you significantly faster. Rush, when you get a kill, you are instantly sprinting, which can be useful for chaining kills. And dodge is kind of a harkening back to chivalry, I believe, wherein when you use the jump key, which in PC is spacebar, and you use any of the directional keys other than forward, you will perform a dodge instead of a jump, wherein you will kind of sidestep or backstep a short distance, and this can be extremely powerful. Not as powerful as Bloodlust, but if you are very, very skilled, this may even be better than Bloodlust, if you are well versed in how to use this and kind of abuse the usefulness of this. But this is our character. You can change their body, their skin color to whatever you so desire, and you can move their face around. You can bring their face in, make them really make them really make them goofy. Do whatever you want. There's a couple different kinds of voices. They're not all that important. They don't affect gameplay anymore. It's just whenever your character yells out voice lines or anything, that's the voice they'll be doing them in. You can change the pitch, the age of your face. You can be super old, you can be super young, whatever you want. Whatever you want. This game allows you to do basically whatever you so choose. So, I don't know. I don't think the name of this is very relevant, so we'll just change that to starter. Okay, perfect. And we have all my other specialist classes, such as the Ranger, the Sniper, which is my specialist long-range class, with the crossbow, since it is the most effective long-range weapon. It's the easiest thing to hit things with. I usually play this when I'm kind of let me just put the mustache on this fellow. As we my God, he has a very square face. Oh well. But I use this class mostly when I'm playing a defensive role, when my team is losing and we're kind of on the defensive and the enemy team has quite a few archers that are keeping us from advancing. I like to choose this. I can jump out, take a pot shot with the accuracy and consistency of the crossbow, and then I can kind of duck behind cover, behind walls, etc., just to reload this, as you are stuck in an animation while loading, and you can't move, and you can't even look around. It points your camera towards the ground as if you're putting your foot in the stirrup and pulling up the strings yourself by hand, which I think is a great touch, personally, in terms of realism. But yeah, so tell me what you think. I think this game is fantastic. I have almost no bad things to say about it, other than the issues at release, but those have all, for the most part at least, been resolved. So tell me what you think of the game. I recommend purchasing it. And I suppose, for tonight at least, that is all I have to offer you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have been the Irish Kaiser, and I will bid you all a good night.